All right, here we go. Good evening, fellow heretics. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Captain Dadpool.
I'm Natty Nat.
And you are watching Nerds and Heresy.
Hold on to your butts.
I'm getting better at that. You see that?
Yeah. Look at you.
All right. So tonight we have HyperHumanity on, of course, who had a very interesting debate last night with Ryan, aka Modern Bushman, and we're gonna have a little talk about that. First, Hyper, you want to plug your stuff to everybody who's in the show at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. My handle is HyperHumanity on TikTok. And I had a debate last night. We debated, is the Christian God immoral and evil? And I've been invited on. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, and we're here just to discuss what happened and have some fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So yeah, that debate, it was pretty wild. First, this was Modern Bushman's name is Ryan. This was his first debate, so he got confused all the time. I'll give credit where credit's due. He was very comfortable and confident for his first debate, so that was good. I've had a couple of debates with people. It was their first time, and they were very, very nervous and rambly, and he was much more collected, I'll say.
Well,
but that's as far as the props go.
I was going to say, he's definitely preached before.
Yeah. After that, it got
very comfortable in front of people.
Got kind of wild. So, Hyper, what is your impression of how things first started?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of went the same way the last debate went. I felt like the opening statement I made was really good. His opening statement it was based on a different topic. The cross-examination happened. I went through my stages of questions. We went into his cross-examination, and it only made it 3 minutes in, and then he was like, well, I quit, or we can just go to the discussion. Yeah. And probably should have ended the debate there, but we went to the discussion anyways and played it out.
I mean,
yeah, it's not a good look to be like, all right, I'm done. Let's go to the next part.
Can you imagine? Okay, so playing devil's advocate for Ryan, it was his first time and he just was not prepared. I would want to quit right away too if people were playing a rule or a game with rules that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
If that started and I was just like, wait, hold on, I'm confused. I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Dr. Josh, for stepping in and starting the dialogue of what was supposed to be going on versus.
Yeah, he did fantastic.
Oh man, that was tricky.
With that, which he had to, yeah.
Yeah. So
he got the topic mixed up first.
Well, something interesting about that is the video he stitched. I clearly said the topic is the Christian God is immoral and evil.
Mm-hmm.
We have people in my Discord server sent me 15 screenshots before the debate of him telling people on TikTok that his opening statement was going to be him trying to slander my integrity and go after something different from the debate. So we actually have screenshots of him saying that.
I didn't realize
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't know if he knew the debate or I felt like he had a nefarious agenda there to just slander Gnosticism as some conspiracy theory, and that's all he wanted to do. He was telling people there was a quote where he said, you just got to be there for the first 10 minutes. I'm going to say what I need to say. I don't care about the debate. I'm there to say what I need to say. So I felt like he did it on purpose and tried to play victim.
I can kind of see that actually, reflecting on it, because he did try to hammer these points in
hammered
regardless
in,
of
just slide it right in there. That is interesting. I do remember him making a TikTok saying if you don't stay for the whole debate, that's okay. As long as you stay for the first 10 minutes, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Okay. And then his opening statement wasn't an opening statement. It was 5-part discussion in various, 5 different conspiracy theories regarding various bits of Gnosticism and religion.
Yeah.
So
and the reason Oz had to make the announcement at the beginning, no one can slander, no personal attacks, is because we didn't know what he was going to say for the opening statement. So I actually reached out to Oz and said, you need to say this up front, that you're automatically disqualified if something bad is said in the opening statement.
Yeah. I was one of the things in the mod on the chats online is that I was constantly reminding people, I'm like, hey, we don't need to hear that Jesus loves you, and we don't need to hear that we're all going to hell. If I see any of that, you're getting bumped, period.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, I can say we bumped at least 100 people easily.
Jeez, that many people?
God, it was bad. Like, then we'd have to like mute them, and then they'd come back, and then they'd mute them, and then they'd come back, and it was back and forth constantly. He brought his army.
He did.
He definitely did.
Yeah, that was a problem.
That was a big issue
in the chats.
The good news, though, out of it, which is really interesting, is like he might have had an army, but there were some deflectors. Like, there were some guys that popped into Discord afterwards that were all Christians, and they were like, you know what, I want to get into this whole debate thing. This sounds great. Like, I love how you guys played it out. I like the idea of being able to have a civil discussion, and they agreed that Ryan was not ready for what was happening. And they listened to your argument. They're like, you know, Hyper knew what he was talking about, and it was concise. But
yeah, the one thing I was disappointed is I was ready to continue that great opening into a great debate, and had all these questions ready, 25 questions, thought about them for 5 days, went over them, had them all in line, you know, like a train of thought, and really couldn't make it through any of them, you know. So I asked some good questions in my opening statement, like, is there anything that God could do for you to consider him evil? Which is still a question I'd be interested in a Christian answering. If you can't answer that one question, then you're not a moral agent, because you're saying that you're not even morally judging God. So you're saying you lack morality yourself.
Okay, I want to unpack that really quick though. I agree with you, but I think it's really interesting that his own mindset was that God can't be judged, period.
Yeah.
And even in the suggestion of being able to judge someone, being able to judge a God, this deity that he believes in, was so offensive that he couldn't grasp it. Like, I want to talk about this whole garden in the weeds thing. Like, that is an amazing concept to view. So chaotic. Like, the idea that you can just be snapped out of existence so readily. And
well, it's the same thing, because you can have a good gardener and an evil gardener, right? Yeah. The evil gardener runs through and kills everything. Good gardener loves the plants and the weeds, has love and compassion, kills nothing, cultivates the garden, grows a beautiful garden. Then there's the evil gardener who gets upset one day and blows it up. So how do you tell? So the argument would still be, yeah, you're appealing to a garden, but what if the gardener's evil? How do you know if the gardener's good or bad?
But he didn't believe that you could even try and judge a gardener or the God.
But see, they do that though. They judge the Christian God to be good. And so my question is, what is the Christian definition of good and evil to which you judge God? Because on that same standard, I'm judging him evil. You can't call God good and then say I can't call him evil, because you just said I can't judge him, but you're judging him.
Yeah, you know? It is. But that the fact that it was so readily obvious that he was okay being snuffed out. That throws me through a freaking loop. Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't like this idea. Obviously, I'm fighting for my life. I plan on living. There's
the other thing where the Christians teach that God is inside you. So he's throwing away God. You're throwing away pieces of yourself, because God is inside everything in the garden.
Do you think he knows what a Calvinist is?
I don't know. He calls himself a follower of Christ, I think. So I don't think he has a denomination.
I agree with that. I was just wondering if because
Church of Christ is like the non-denominational term.
Yes, non-denominational just means you're indecisive in general.
Yeah, which is a denomination on its own.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so God, I don't even know where to begin, really. Like, I mean, we've already kind of bumped into this as far as discussing the topic.
It's like
there's so much.
The whole garden analogy it's like, okay, if you have a plant that's struggling to grow, one gardener might rip it out and say, fuck this plant.
Yeah, but there's only one gardener.
And then there's another gardener who's
There's
like,
two
oh, this
gardeners.
garden needs more attention.
No,
It
there's a
needs more
gardener and then there's the
water.
apprentice.
There's God who potentially made the garden, and then there's the evil gardener, Satan, who goes and destroys the garden.
But
So
he's not equal to the gardener. He's like the neighbor that squashes.
but that would be back to my whole point. If the evil gardener is destroying the garden and the good God is also destroying the garden, who's the evil and good gardener? How do you tell them apart?
I absolutely think I agree with you on this. I'm like, no, this God is evil by every mean. He's evil. But with this analogy, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
It reduces human life to nothing, to objects, to toys. We don't have spirits, no souls. We're not conscious. It rips us apart. I mean, we're just ready to be thrown away. Basically.
And people think atheists are so morbid in that fact. And I'm just like, yeah, we have one life to live, so we live it well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's why a lot of I've been reading a lot about the early Christian groups, like the Marcionites. Marcion founded the group.
Yeah, first century.
In the first century, he believed there was a God of the Old Testament and a God of the New Testament that sent Jesus to save us from the God of the Old Testament, because they're so clearly different.
Yeah.
Like how is it the same God? Like, it didn't make sense to him. So he was like, oh, there must be a separate God. The God of the Old Testament, the God of the Jews, is evil, and then the God representing Jesus that sent Jesus is the one who is trying to save us from that God. So he was literally like, oh, there's two gods, and then. The proto-Orthodox Church Christians were like, there's one God. We got to figure out a way to make them one and the same. So they had to put a lot of effort into stamping out that group.
We'll just be apologetic. It's fine.
No, that goes into that actually works with my opening statement, though. I didn't lead with that one because I didn't want to. But yeah, like the definition of love in 1 Corinthians, and I compared that to the actions of the God of the Bible. I'm like, clearly, this God is the furthest thing from the definition of love in any conceivable way. Like there's just no way. And then there was Catharism, the 12th century, wasn't a Gnostic movement, even though they're in the realm of Gnosticism. That was a 12th to 13th heresy of Christianity that had the same belief that there was an evil material God and a good God that lived in the realm of light. And they were stamped out as well. They were, that's what started the Crusades, and those guys were done. They were gone, done. Can't have that.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right. One thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is how Christians like to say, just let people believe what they want to believe. And the thing is, the way Christianity is today is the direct result of Christians in the 2nd and 3rd century not abiding by that. Like you had like the Ebionites, the Marcionites, the Valentinian Gnostics that held to the Gospel of John, and the other Gnostic groups. They all kept to themselves. It was the proto-Orthodox Christians that hated them, and they had heresy hunters that would debate them, slander them, find their holy texts, and destroy them. That's how we got Christianity the way it is today, is through a group of Christians that believed it was heretical to believe anything other than what they did, and believed it was their holy duty to go and stamp out all these other Gnostic groups and other differing Christian groups.
Irenaeus, the father of heresiology.
Yep, Irenaeus.
Wrote everybody was a baby killer who disagreed with the early Christian church. Pagans, Gnostics, anyone who disagreed was killing babies for some reason. That was their go-to for everything.
That and having orgies and all this other stuff. Like, they wrote all kinds of that.
And then there's hedonism. Okay, let's make that clear.
Okay.
Let's throw that out there. Okay. There's some of us that still like to have a little bit of pleasure in our life, okay?
Yeah, like that was one of their methods, was like to heavily slander these other opponents. And these other opponents weren't slandering them back, really. They didn't have heresy hunters. They just kept themselves.
Well, they were people of knowledge. When you're pursuing knowledge, you're looking for answers. You're not trying to stamp out other people's answers, because you can actually benefit from what other people know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this other group who the proto-Orthodox who decided, no, this is the right one. Everyone else is wrong. And then here we are today. So it's a great historical twist of irony when you really look at it.
And then his definition last night of good at the beginning was, you will know them by their fruits.
Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, boom, checkmate. Next question. I don't even need to say anything there.
No.
Bible, Old Testament, and early Christian history, all the way up to like the 1800s. I mean,
God kills people, then his fruits are death, and I don't like
and
that.
his followers did the same. So there we go. You know, if God does it, why would he be mad at his followers for doing what he did? He'd be a hypocrite if he did that. And is God a hypocrite? Is he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He does express regret for making Saul king.
Does he? Does he express regret, or does he like actually,
It's literally regret. And
He did
Hebrew.
repent. It does say in Genesis
repent.
that he repented after the flood.
Yeah, after the flood and after making Saul king in First Samuel.
Oh, okay. I guess that's right.
He literally says,
He
"I
gave us
regret
a
making
rainbow,
Saul
though.
king."
That was such a nice gift.
The rainbow was already there, though, so I think he lied.
Yeah, the rainbow already happened.
He saw the rainbow there. He's like, you know what? This is mine. I made that.
Noah was drunk all the time, so Noah didn't know what a rainbow was. You know.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. I gotta mention this. So I was talking to someone. It's got to be a few months ago, and they were like, "What did Noah drink on the ark for 44 days?" And I was like, "Okay, well, considering like the flood happened, right? You have to feed and water all the animals, so there had to be some like recycled urine and some serious desalination going on. But the only way to preserve water without getting bacteria in is to allow alcohol to ferment within the water.
That's what pirates did.
Yeah, absolutely toasted and drunk the whole time he was on a boat.
Well, that's the only way to convince him to do incest, maybe. So that was the plan, you know. I mean,
sorry.
I don't think he did incest. Like apparently, like his daughters.
Oh, his daughters. Okay.
Yeah, they did. Like the plan was to get him drunk and then sleep with him, so he would get them pregnant, so they could like procreate and help reprocreate the earth.
This took a turn I didn't expect.
Yeah, all knowing God can already see this coming. He sees it plays out. So he could have nothing stopped the God of the Bible from choosing 4 families, right? Or 5 families. You know, he could have choose a village and made a even bigger boat.
There's no way. There's no way that there's only like 2 people out there that had not sinned ever. Okay, actually, there's no way that Noah had lived a life without sin. Let's put that way.
None are righteous, not one.
So we saw what happened on the boat. We know they weren't righteous. You know, we have the proof is in the Bible. You know, they were drunks and they were sinning. So we know God did not. I mean, that's a lie. These guys could not have been righteous.
Ooh, Correa. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm about. Lot's daughters raped their father. They got him drunk. I think like Lot's sons like saw his nakedness and like they walked into the tent backwards and covered him up so they wouldn't see it. But at some point, like the daughters like jumped his bones. I gotta refresh my memory on that story. But it was something to that effect.
Yeah, and he was the one who offered up his daughters to the town when they came looking for the angels, right? And the angels were gone. And he's like, well, instead of having sex with the angels, you can hear my daughters instead. And they were like, no, we don't want the daughters. We want the angels. That was when they were in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
I'm getting grossed out by the Bible right now. I mean, I already have been, but it's like this is just a discussion I haven't had yet. So, you know, this is
another story that's like that's pretty much
me coming on here. And
we get real on here.
We get really real.
We talk about the things that are in the Bible that church doesn't talk about.
No, I prove things that are supposed to be like physical evidence, and none of this is stuff that I discuss. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, even worse is a story in I think it's First Kings, maybe Second Kings. It's very similar to Sodom and Gomorrah, but an emissary comes and visits the equivalent of Lot. I forget his name at the moment. And the villagers come and they want to do the same thing. They want to like rape the guest, and he says, "Oh, take my daughter and my concubine instead," and they do. And then like the concubine dies his daughter dies and the concubine is like almost dead. And he like wakes up the next morning and she's been dead because she's been raped to death. And he's like, oh, that sucks. Cut her body into 12 pieces and then send each piece to one of the tribes of Israel so they can hang the body piece from their bridges at the entranceways. Like that's a story you don't hear in Sunday school, but that's in the Bible. And that's done by a holy man of God. So make it make sense.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
don't wanna-
I mean, we're just weeds, remember? So I mean, who, right?
Yeah, we're weed. God
Yeah,
can kill who
we
he
can cut up
wants.
weeds. That's fine. There's no problem. I mean, if we're just weeds, why do we have morality? Thou shalt not kill a what? A weed? Like, who cares if I kill a weed? It's a weed, you know?
didn't you hear him say that the weeds have sentience?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says no. His grandfather.
His grandfather was
trees
a tree
down.
surgeon.
Yeah, his
Trees.
grandfather cut trees. So
I missed that. I missed that part because there was so much happening that got past me.
Yeah, he was like, my grandfather cut trees for a living, so I know that trees are sentient. Like that's
How does that make it better?
Yeah, how does that make it better?
So do they feel pain? Do they have
we're getting cut
consciousness?
down. Great. I hate that. I don't like
Right?
that.
So no more cutting down trees, no more harvesting, even plants, because they're living beings. What are we supposed to eat? Like, yeah, that was a bizarre claim.
So they're trying to take the morality back to the world of the jungle, because if humans are equated to weeds, then everything we do in the garden should be done to humans, technically based on his morality, because that's what we are. That's the example he used, right? Humans are plants. So what we do to plants, we should be able to do to humans, right? Because we got to be objective here. Yeah. We are a garden.
Apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
But what was a scripture you brought up, Hyper, where I think you said it was in Genesis 3, where we adopted gods.
Yeah, Genesis 3:22. The man has now become like the gods in the knowledge of good and evil.
Yes.
So we are equal. We are equal to them in the knowledge of good and evil, meaning God has no special knowledge. There's nothing beyond our understanding. There's no secret realm of secret knowledge of good and evil. We are equals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have we have the ability to judge good and evil the same way God does.
Exactly.
Okay.
So why can't we look at God and be like, hey, what you're doing is evil?
Okay. I want to bring up Dadpool's debate simply because we're either weeds or, according to Zach, we're ducks.
Oh no, ducks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no. You want to talk
in
about
my
that
debate? In my debate, Zach said that 40% of sex among ducks is considered rape.
Because it is.
And he was like, so is that morality? And
well, it's not consensual.
Yeah, there's not consensual.
Also, their penises are corkscrewed and have thorns. Thank you.
Yikes.
Goodbye.
Yikes.
Oh, and they drop off.
Fun factoids.
Fun fact.
But
and
what
these animals? God did.
God
what I didn't think to say at the time is,
I'm telling you, the duck's one of them.
No.
This is an evil gardener. This is an evil Frankenstein god.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like animals do good things too. Like if a dolphin is sick, the other dolphins will push it to the surface so it can get air. So animals do good things too, not just bad things.
But dolphins are also rapists.
They are. That's fair. That's fair.
So
but hey, they're the smartest animals in the world, right?
No, I disagree. Cuttlefish are pretty fucking smart. So are octopus.
So God could not make. It seems like rape is a huge thing in the animal world. God could not have made animals that were either smart enough or just didn't have that quality in their minds to do that. But he decided to give them that idea so their brain could do that. That's crazy. So that's the creator's fault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and dolphins also use pufferfish to get high. Thank you, Adam.
Yes. I'm familiar with that fun factoid too.
That was a fun one. Yay. Anyway, no, if we wanted to get into the animal kingdom and fucked up shit, I can just go on for hours.
To me, that further illustrates our point. Like, morality is arbitrary. Like, you see that, and you see animals doing bad things and good things, just like you see humans doing good things.
But are they really bad things? If we're not there,
apparently not.
Is it a bad?
Apparently, what we have is morals, and what they have is nature.
But we're also supposed to be part of the animal kingdom, right?
Yeah, we are. Well, not according to them.
Right.
Yeah, the best argument I heard is good and evil is a product of consciousness. So your morality, Hegel wrote about that in philosophy. Your sense of morality does not develop in a mind until you become conscious. Like Adam and Eve ate the apple. that's a metaphor for humans becoming conscious, right? And now they can judge good and evil. Before that, they weren't conscious, so they had no compass of what good and evil was. Now they do.
So I love that. I love that a lot. And it's also a reason why children, given different developmental stages, will act accordingly to their own upbringing.
Yeah.
So a kid will, and I'm not saying like sociopaths are made, but they can be. They fucking can be. You may not have the mentality to be a sociopath, but so help me God. I have seen some of the people and like their parents, and you can tell that the neglect is just the craziness.
I have some another family across the street from me, and they have like 2 kids. And one day, like they're out playing, and I let my kids go out there and play with them, and they were just absolute, like they were punching windows, like shooting each other in the face with darts, and like picking up one of our cats and throwing it, and like, what the fuck is wrong with your kids? What did you teach them? Like,
what did you give them?
Yeah, like what
genes and food did you give them?
So since then, I've been like, we're not going over there.
They're not getting the apple. They're not getting the fruit of good and evil. You know, they don't know.
My kids will get the fruit of the backhand.
Tree of knowledge and the tree of.
That's a joke.
What were the 2 trees? There's tree of knowledge.
Tree of life.
Yeah, tree of life and tree of knowledge of good and evil. There's 2 of them.
Okay, I had to remember this.
The tree of life is mentioned again in Revelation.
Let's do a what if experiment. What do you think the punishment would have been if they had eaten from the tree of life?
That's actually a long debated upon topic.
It's interesting because some people, I'll touch on that quickly. Some people think they might have ate from it, maybe, meaning you have to constantly eat from it. Some people think that that's how you become God in the Bible. How do you become equal to God? You eat from the tree of knowledge, you eat from the tree of life. You're done. Life, now you're immortal, right? And you eat from the tree of knowledge, now you have the knowledge.
So is that why Noah lived Abraham lived as long as he did? Just because he ate there? No, because he wasn't born before they got cast out. So that doesn't make sense.
But what's interesting is the God of the Bible changes his plan. He first says, don't eat from the tree of knowledge, right? But eat from any tree, even the tree of life. Then they eat from the tree of knowledge, and he goes, okay, hold on now. Now we can't let them eat from the tree of life. Let's kick them out. So he changes, the game plan changes once they eat from the tree of knowledge. Now they can't eat from this one. But before they could.
So weird.
Yeah.
And if you read the 2 accounts of the trees, read them carefully, because it says that God tells Eve not to eat of this tree that is around other trees, or like in the center of the garden, and then the serpent comes and tells Eve to eat this fruit, and she says, "Oh, we're not supposed to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." But she's in a different location, so like that's where the second tree comes into play. So it's like it's speculated that maybe she ate from a different tree. That it seems like, honestly, if you read the text for what it seems like she didn't eat from the tree that God forbade. She ate from the other one.
I want to take a moment and say that we have a super chat we got to throw up here.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but there is I want to ask about this. So what if the Quran says there's only 1 tree?
Yeah.
So
that's probably likely, again, going back to Revelation, which they don't recognize either. Oh God, I could talk about that for a while. Islam.
We're talking about the debate only.
Okay.
But no,
they combine the tree into one in Islam, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And that was a later idea that developed through Gnostics, actually. I think it might have been the Proto-Orthodox, actually. I think the Gnostics might have argued the 2 trees, and then the Proto-Orthodox then said that there's 2. Kind of like how when God created everything, he didn't create everything. Everything was already there, and he shaped it into something that was inhabitable for his creation. That was the original ancient Jewish reading. So the Gnostics brought up that fact, and they brought up like Sophia and all the other gods that were present at the time of creation. Then the Proto-Orthodox no, that God's always been there. God created everything ex nihilo, and that's how that came about. So what happened with the Quran is they took later ideas about the garden, about hell, about salvation. They took all these ideas that developed later and then adopted them into their belief, but they're corrupt from the get-go. Like nothing, especially even like Jesus, right? They don't believe Jesus was actually crucified. They think that Jesus appeared to be crucified, or that somebody switched places with him and was made to look like him.
That was an early Gnostic idea by one of the
Yes.
groups. They believed that there was the man Jesus and the spirit Christ, and the spirit Christ did not die on the cross, but the man Jesus did. So
Right, it's from the second
Jesus, when he
treaty of
got
the Great South.
baptized, the spirit of Christ entered Jesus at the John the baptism when he baptized them. Then Christ was man and God. He had his human part and his God part. And when he was killed, they believed that his spirit lived, because you can't kill a spirit. So that idea came from the Gnostics, and then Islam ended up using that as well. That's
Yeah,
where
it
they got
was a docetic
I'm going to pause this
Christology.
again
That
really
was
quick. We have another super chat.
another one.
Yeah. I don't know who TJ is.
Oh, TJ's the first guy I debated. So TJ, so TJ debated Hyper. Since you asked, since you paid $5 for the answer,
Sorry.
TJ was like an 18 or 19-year-old kid who like just became a Christian.
Oh, I thought this was Bram. Not Bram.
No, Bram was the guy that debated me. This is TJ.
Oh, TJ
was
the
like,
guider. Okay.
Yeah. First guy I debated.
Aww.
He was very arrogant and very passionate. He thought he could just demolish anybody, and then he challenged you to a debate. Like he got
1.2 million views on a video challenging me to a debate.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And he got his shit wrecked. He never even read the Old Testament. He didn't know anything about the Old Testament. He actually said that in debate. And then after the debate, he made a couple of videos like trying to make excuses as to why he lost, and then he stopped making videos altogether. And then one day he made a video peddling his followers. I call it this, peddling his followers to donate money to his Cash App so that he could get high. And that was the last thing I'd ever seen him make.
Poor TJ.
I forgot. Before that, he went live and he was saying, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing. I went into his live for a little while, which I never do. But he was like, I'm just going to do my own thing for a while. I don't care about any of this stuff anymore. And then
that was months after though, right? Because he was going to do music.
Yeah.
He was fine. That was like 3 months after. This was like 3 months after the debate. He was going to do a TikTok music page, right?
Oh, was he? I must have missed that.
Yeah, this was before, because I never saw what you're saying. I actually never saw that, but I did see he tried to make a music page at one point.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, he
I
definitely
feel horrible for this kid.
He definitely made.
He got bullied after the debate by a lot of the Christian community. They stopped following him, stopped watching his videos, they stopped supporting him. I had no control over that. The community should have said, hey, it's okay. They should have been compassionate, but
they should have been Christians.
Yeah, his support team kind of left him, and I can't control that.
Yeah, but again, he challenged you to the debate. You just accepted and won. Like it's not your fault.
That does suck.
Yeah, he was a very unstable individual from the beginning. So none of that could certainly be pinned on him.
Just one thing to note, he did go after like the biggest TikTokers. He did that Kevin X guy, the Satanist. He went after that guy with a couple of big videos.
Yes, he did.
Contacted Kevin X.
I think that's how he got so many followers.
I would love to get Kevin X on here, actually.
I haven't seen him in a while.
He disappeared on TikTok for a while. I think he's focused on his music.
Yeah, he got like 2 million views on a video where he stitched Kevin X and just like telling him Christ is king and everything like that.
Yeah.
Wow. It's okay. I got like 1.3 million views because I, took a video of a Walmart parking lot.
Really?
It is the most random.
That's true story?
Yeah, no, true story. No,
oh, wow. That's awesome.
So in California, down in Murrieta, there's a Walmart that has a parking lot that has covered with solar panels. And I was like, I don't like Walmart, but I'd say this is one thing they're doing right. And like, that's all I said. And I got a few million views. I was like,
there you go. Go just drive around to Walmart's and
the algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away.
Right. Yeah. Still only at 4,000 followers. Doesn't matter though.
Sweet. Yeah, good deal.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh man.
Random shit that the algorithm will do.
It's so true.
But yeah, no, so back to this debate. Jumping backwards. Yeah, so with the fruits, what was it called? We'll recognize them by the fruits, right?
We'll recognize them by the fruits.
Yeah. Okay, so that definitely came up, and you guys actually did stick with that the rest of the debate, which I was kind of impressed with. I didn't expect him to continue to hold on to that one, but he did. it's really interesting to think that God's fruits, like, are we allowed to judge God's fruits if he's the one, like, he might have made them? Maybe we can't judge him, but can we not judge what he made?
Yeah. The problem I have with that is I might agree with him, but the problem is in Christian theology, there's the devil who says he's God. So if there's the devil and there's God, and the devil kills babies and God kills babies, and they both come to you and say, I'm God at the same time. And you're looking at the devil and you're looking at God. Okay, God killed babies, devil killed babies. Who is God?
Kind of hard to figure out.
You know, kind of hard. If they're both doing evil actions, you have, my whole case was, now you have to use your moral judgment to decide who is good and who is evil. If you're not doing that, you're never going to know who's who, because how could you?
That's a good point. Well, isn't it the there's a riddle. You come across a door, bridge, or anything. There's two guards, so one can only tell the truth and one can only lie. And that's definitely like the same riddle that you have here with God and the devil. It's the same deal.
Yeah.
Because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Just fuck it all. I don't know what to do. I'm so sick of this shit. I'm so sick of this repetition, this circular concept and thinking, and it's too much sometimes.
That's why I'm like 30 days, no debates. I'm drained. That was emotional. That was passionate. That was loud. I mean, I'm drained after a night like that. Like,
well, we appreciate you coming on and talking about it. I mean, there's what do you think could have been done to prevent the train wreck that occurred? Like, is there anything that you would have done differently to try and establish maybe a better directive for Ryan to know what he was going to talk about? Or
in the way he set it up, as loud and proud as he is, it's like, I'm not here to like give my opponent some competitive advantage before we debate. He made 3 TikToks saying he was going to completely destroy me, rip me apart. Christians were commenting on his page, kill HyperHumanity, eliminate him from TikTok, things like that. HyperHumanity is the son of the devil, you know, bury him.
That's your own fault.
Why would I be motivated? Yeah, why would I be motivated to do anything for these guys when they're I'm not saying those things about them, you know? So I mean, it's like yeah.
You can't expect to go after one Christian and not get rebuttals from like thousands.
Yeah.
So I'd have no mercy for you on that one. But that being said, their Christian values are apparently bullshit, because as soon as you're not Christian, they give no fucks.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I think the lesson for me is go after more sound opponents, you know?
Yeah. Don't go after the crazies, or don't go after those that you're not sure if they're stable enough in the head.
It's fun, like maybe one of those a year just to draw on the crowd, but yeah, I can't do that again much.
And in your defense, you didn't know he was.
None of us did.
Because I knew. I fucking knew, because I checked him before. But like he presents himself in such a way on TikTok that you think like, oh, this guy's knowledgeable, he's passionate, he'd make a good opponent, and then you get into the weeds of it with him and you realize, oh, he's a fucking conspiracy theorist who thinks we're all lizard people, and the Illuminati and aliens, and you know, hyperlink with Elon Musk is the Antichrist, and
so so we talked about this backstage. I told you I'd bring it up again. I'm going to.
Right.
We discussed the fact that he believes that AI technology is the return of the Antichrist, and that by using AI technology, or by using machines in general and technology, you yourself will be sinning and be part of that. What do they call it? Not the revelation. When you all ascend and shit.
Ascension.
Fucking A. I didn't realize that was what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a difference you see between the ascension and resurrection. See,
you like it when you get to correct me on shit. I know you do.
I didn't correct you on anything.
I just lost. That's all. It's fine. I'm a little off.
I'll start talking about rocks soon, so you can correct me.
One thing that was interesting that I was talking on the live last night was a lot of these religious guys, because they some of these guys they don't study science and reason and logic and philosophy. And so the brain tends to go to conspiracy theories because they're on the same level as religion. They're unverifiable. They're all based on opinions and forums. And so a lot of these guys, this is why the Trump supporters thought JFK was coming back, because it's on the same level as religion. You can't separate reality from fiction. And so the brain tends to not know how to know what's actually true. And so those people are very prone. I mean, Christianity is the original conspiracy theory. There's an imaginary devil running around the world who runs the music industry, the whole world. And he's trying to get everyone into the hyperlink and take over the world. So that is where all conspiracy theories really are born, is from Christian religion, you know?
I would argue maybe not necessarily Christian religion, but religion as a whole. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's exclusive to Christianity.
I don't think it's exclusive.
Certainly...
I have heard some interesting conspiracy theories that come from some other religions.
Because they're atheist flat earthers.
Fuck yeah, there are.
Like, which is the weirdest thing. When I learned that, I was like, "What? No." But
yeah,
flat Earth is a little different than, like, you know, the conspiracy that there's weird people trying to own the world and control it. You know, that one particularly.
Oh yeah, no, the fact that antichrists have lived throughout the ages and have constantly and continuously ran things. That's an interesting bit. Oh my gosh, Jimmy just popped in here with a nice little. Hi, Jim.
Recommend profile. Yeah, we were actually talking about this backstage.
Yeah, we were. I was trying to bring it up again. That was kind of where we were going with this.
But yeah, like when you're ready, I'd definitely vouch for Eddie. He'd be a good one.
Yeah, I would too.
We talked a little bit about that backstage.
No, so I forgot where I was going before Jimmy interrupted. Fucking Jim.
Yeah, so many atheist anti-vaxxers. Anytime I make a video about getting the vaccine, like, they fucking come for me. And hey, while we're at it, mythicism.
Why not?
Atheists believing that Jesus never existed.
Let's just throw out all the triggers.
That is a conspiracy theory in the atheist community.
Yeah.
So you take this. I take the stance that Jesus was a Jewish prophet, Jewish rabbi, ordinary guy, got killed for trying to lead an insurrection against the government because he was a troublemaker, you know, a rebel, a Jewish Messiah king. That's high treason in the Roman time, and then deified as Christ, the Christian God, by, you know, later on by the religion. I think that's the rational stance.
More or less, I would disagree with the attempting to overthrow the government type thing. I think Jesus was an apocalyptic preacher, which is common at the time. He told his disciples, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, pay your taxes." At certain times when they would go into the city, he said, "Don't tell them who I am." He was trying to lay low, so to speak. But everything other than that, yeah, like he was an apocalyptic preacher. He committed blasphemous crimes.
But there were two major Jewish Roman wars after Christ died that were like 500,000 people killed, right? There was one late in first century, one late second century that were recorded in history that were both led by Jewish messiahs. And then the third century, boom, Christianity was made. The Jewish and Roman wars disappeared because everyone converted to Christianity for the most part. You know, so I look at it like, I think Jesus is in that same historical, you know, that same historical framework, as he would have been an apocalyptic revolutionary leader, you know, reestablished Judaism as the state religion. That was his purpose, you know, to reestablishment.
I disagree with both of you. I believe there were multiple messiahs out there, prophets that were traveled around.
Well, there were multiple.
There were hundreds of them. Probably.
And everybody thought it was Jesus. Everybody thought that their messiah was
the. They thought they were Messiah. Yeah. Which is different from Jesus. The Messiah was just supposed to be the king of Israel. That's who the Messiah was. They were supposed to. The Israelite king was anointed with oil over their head, and they were anointed as the Messiah. That's who Jesus may have thought that about himself. His followers certainly thought that of him.
Yeah,
they did certain things to condition and groom him to fulfill messianic prophecies, but in the end, he didn't. If you read the Wisdom of Solomon, which is in the Apocrypha, it lays out pretty black and white who the Messiah was supposed to be. He was supposed to be from the King of David, or the bloodline of the King of David. He was supposed to overthrow the Roman government and reassume.
That's why I would argue that's what he was trying to do.
I don't think that's what he was trying to do. I think that's what his followers wanted him to do or expected him to do. it's possible he thought that of himself. It's possible he was doing that.
Well, you think about it. I mean, I know you we'll see what you think, but like you can say sell your clothes and buy weapons. Well, why? You know, the end of the world is coming. Let's lead a revolution, right? Get people in a state that the world is ending. This is first century people. They're radicalized easy. Sell what you own, buy weapons. You know, he fills, you know, Jerusalem with a bunch of people. Maybe he's going to, you know, perform a miracle and get people rallied up. People are going to die for a guy that who they think might, you know, raise them from the dead.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if he proves it once, is that not enough for everybody to die thinking that he's going to just pop him back up from the ground?
That would be proof. So if he would have rose from the dead and went back to the empire, to Jerusalem, yeah, there would have been a revolution, because people would have been, oh, he rose from the dead. He can raise me back from the dead after I die in war. So that would have been a done deal. Everyone would have died alongside him.
I'm learning new things today.
Okay. Oh, that's in Joel.
Jimmy, damn it. You stop that right now.
What do you do? What did I miss?
Put another freaking thing out.
Oh, shit. I miss. I'm not sure what that is. Not even going to bullshit.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is either, which is why I'm like, why are you fucking with us right now? I feel like... Is
the plowshares into swords a New Testament? Because I thought that was an Old Testament thing.
I have no answers for this.
Yeah, Isaiah 2:4, you shall judge between the nations, you shall arbitrate for many people, beat your swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. But then in Joel, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So it's backwards now.
Jim, I haven't read the book and I didn't see the movie. I'm so sorry.
That's interesting. I've never made that connection before.
So,
in one verse it says to do one thing, and the other verse it says the exact opposite. But both of them are Old Testament.
I don't know where this comes from. I'm supposed to be the nerd, Jim. This is on me. I haven't seen Dune yet, and I haven't read the book. So that's totally on me for not catching that.
I've never seen the original Dune. I don't know anything about Dune.
So this is
I feel like I'm missing out. I've missed out on something.
The god of Dune. Like, this is one of the one of the deities. So sorry, my bad. Jim, I will get on that. I have been literally delirious for a chunk of time. So I have not been able to watch like 4 or 5 movies that I want to watch. So blame the surgery. I will use that as a scapegoat for this.
Yeah, we'll allow it. This time.
Just this once. I'm not up to date. I'm not up to date with my nerdiness right now, and I've gotta say I'm sad about it.
But anyway, going back to conspiracy theorists, like like we all have like our own ideas as to who Jesus was, but mythicists think that Jesus never existed at all. Like he's just even Mark Goodacre in the Caesar's Messiah, he argues that the Flavians invented Jesus as a way to trick Christians into worshiping the emperor. That's fucking ridiculous. Like the Gospel of Mark was written before the Flavian dynasty, and Paul wrote all of his letters before that. And Paul quotes pre-Pauline literature in Philippians chapter 2 and 1 Corinthians 15 that dates even before then, probably within just a few years after Jesus' life. Like, so you have multiple sources, including the Q, M, and L. That's like 10 or 11 sources before the Flavian dynasty that are talking about Jesus. So how in the flying fuck can you say that the Flavian dynasty invented Jesus?
I think people get confused between, again, Jesus, the Jewish rabbi, and Christ, the Christian God. I think a lot of people don't know there's 2 different ideas there. There's the guy who walks on water and created the universe, and then there's a real historical rabbi. I think that a lot of people aren't educated enough to know that they're denying one and actually they're denying both of those, right?
Yeah, they conflate the 2.
Yeah.
Like Paul is, our earliest source of the person of Jesus. Paul doesn't mention anything about Jesus' life. He mentions his teaching about communion and about marriage and divorce. Doesn't talk about his birth, doesn't talk about being born of a virgin, baptized by John the Baptist, Joseph of Arimathea. Doesn't talk about any of his miracles.
Major things to leave out. Like that's almost saying you don't believe it, you never heard of it type thing. Yeah.
Didn't say, and even though he knew Jesus' brother, he knew Peter, you'd think they would have told him these stories, but he didn't mention any of them. But he mentions the crucifixion and resurrection. So yeah, and then along come the Gospels that have all these stories that have that are eerily similar to pagan stories, the Iliad and the Odyssey, some of what Josephus writes. Yeah, like all these like weird stories that and stories in the Old Testament that are just sort of like reworked to sound similar.
Yeah.
And this is evident that this person of Jesus story was spread, and then they developed all these stories about them that were influenced by stories that they were already familiar with. Again, this was an illiterate culture. All they knew is stories that they knew. So they probably got mixed in with who Jesus was. And
oral
tradition.
Yeah, oral tradition.
It's crazy for the guys who claim it's the word of God when there's so many different. Every gospel tells the resurrection differently.
I cannot imagine being able to say word for word an entire story. Like,
yeah,
I have the hardest time quoting something y'all said like 5 minutes ago. So, yeah, like that's going to be a superpower back then if you could.
And a big reason for that, again,
back and forth. That's crazy.
And they write it off as like this is different perspectives, but like when they talk about the resurrection, there's like one story, there's two people inside, or there's three women who go and see it. Then in one there's two, but they're two completely different people. Then there's three again, but two of them are different, and one's the same.
One of them's Roman soldiers, and one of them has no women.
One time there's a guy with a robe. One time there's an angel inside. Like this is holy scripture. This is a divinely perfect word of God, and that's like mixing the Hulk with Superman. Like this is clearly not perfect, And
in each gospel, when Jesus dies on the cross, he utters something different. I think in Matthew and Mark is the same thing, but in Luke he says something totally different, and then in John he says something different from the other two completely.
But Matthew and Mark are rather consistent within their stories, aren't they? Like Matthew and Mark were pretty parallel as far as what they were discussing.
Yeah, for the most part.
Reactions. But like, you throw in Paul
more so than Mark and Luke by far. Yeah.
Mark and Luke. Okay, my bad.
And then there's only one that has the troops outside the tomb, and I think that's the Gospel of John, right? Or Matthew, that has the troops outside the tomb. Only one of them mentions troops outside the tomb. The other three don't mention that detail at all. And that's a major detail because Christians always say what happened to the body. Well, there's only one gospel that has guards guarding the tomb, which that's 25%. So in my opinion, there's more chance that was added and fabricated and put in there later because the other gospels don't mention it.
Yeah. And similarly in John is the only gospel where, James asks when they meet Jesus after he resurrected, he asks to touch the holes in his hand. Like this is a way to combat Gnosticism.
Yeah.
Same thing in Luke. Luke is the only gospel where it has the narrative of him sweating droplets of blood, which was added to later manuscripts. That was not originally in Luke. So it was added later in probably the 3rd or 4th century by Irenaeus or anyway, now he's gone. In order to combat the same docetic Christology. So like when there are these differences in the text, the differences are there for a reason. They're trying to enforce their beliefs and combat other beliefs as well. That's why those differences are there. The soldiers placed outside the tomb, and it was Matthew or John, was there to combat people who believed that maybe Jesus just got up and left because he didn't actually die, or maybe the disciples stole the body. So then along comes John, is like, no, that couldn't have happened because there was Roman soldiers outside. So now there's no way. Like that's so.
I feel like they put that in there on purpose because I know when you're a salesman, the first thing you do is you kill the objections before they're brought up, right? So I feel like they're trying to kill the objection of where's the body. Oh, let's just write, because it literally says in Matthew, I think it is, the first deception will be greater. The second deception will be greater than the first. The disciples will steal the body and claim he rose from the dead. That's actually what it says. So, I mean, in my opinion, that's exactly what they did. They stole the body and pretend he rose from the dead. It's telling you right there what they did. That's what they did. They stole it and then told everyone he rose from the dead.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think he was buried in a tomb at all. I think he was buried in a mass grave.
I agree with that.
And the story of Joseph of Arimathea was added later. You want to talk about that, Nat, since you have something to say about this?
The idea that
in your area of expertise.
Well, I don't know the scripture regarding it so much as I do just the timing.
Yeah, just the
fact
cultural
that-
context. That's all you
Oh
need.
yeah, no, fucking they did not have like wood to spare. There's no, there's no everything would be recycled as much as it could be. But sorry, hold on just a second.
Good.
While she's coming back, the other thing is, in the Bible, I think 57 times leading up to the death of Christ, it says, here is just a man. This is a man. This is a man. It says it multiple times when the Romans are crucifying Jesus. This is Christ, just a man. Here lies a man on the cross.
Mhm.
Why would in any world would these guys put guards outside a tomb if 57 times or whatever it was, they call this guy a man? To what knowledge or to what how would the Romans would never think this guy would rise from the dead, clearly, right? Otherwise they would have put guards outside the tomb. But in
We
my
have
opinion,
another super chat, so it's along this line. So I'd love to pop that up there really quick. I was informed by 2 of my friends via text as well as this to make sure this pops up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so bad at paying attention to text. I get really involved in the conversation.
I mean, yeah, I had to leave for a second, but so are you fearful of someone claiming a second coming of Jesus Christ gaining popularity? I feel like there's no popularity.
That's already been that's been popular for 2,000 years.
Yeah, it's already pretty well known that people have been claiming a second coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
So
Revelation has been reinterpreted over and over and over again. It was used in this. It was reinterpreted in the Civil War. It was reinterpreted in the Battle Hymn of the Old Republic. So Revelation is just constantly recycled to represent what's happening at the current state. And we just fucking today, the concert where everyone's trampled, or 8 people were trampled to death. They're like, oh, the concert was of the devil. This is a sign of Revelation. Like it's always around the corner. So yeah, like that's been popular for a very long time. Steve Weisenon wrote in 1988, 88 Reasons Why Jesus is Coming Back 88. And he was an astrophysicist, and he fucking had that shit down to a science, and people like sold their homes. They quit their jobs. They went to monasteries to pray because they believed. So yeah, sorry, I'm rambling, but yeah, that's been popular for a very long time. It's been a money-making scene.
That's
for a very
funny
long
you say it, because I just think that's what Christ said. He told people to sell their possessions, right? And then he died. I wonder if those people were like expecting him to come back, if they like screwed themselves, like they gave up their homes and their stuff, and then he died, and then they're like, shit, now I don't have my job, my house is gone. I sold everything.
Was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like
the guy never came back, and I sold my house. Like I thought you were game.
That is I've made a few videos about that. That might be the most consistent theme in the entirety of the New Testament. Just about every single book says something to the effect of, this is the last day, this is the last hour, the end is coming soon. You can find a verse like that in every book. And that's to say, Paul, or whatever the author is, the pseudo-Pauline letter saying, hold on just a little bit longer, guys. He's coming. I promise it's coming. Just hang in there a little bit longer. That's what the entirety of the New Testament is about, is telling them that it's coming and to stay prepared for it. Don't give up.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, did I miss the part where you guys were talking about why there doesn't need to be guards at the tomb? Was that when I popped out? Did you guys talk about that yet?
No.
Just because
okay.
there'd be no sufficient reason for the Roman Empire for anyone to think that the guy's he's the god, right? There's no reason for them to even suspect he's rising from the dead.
Right. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about humans and human nature. Now, whether or not Jesus was buried, in a tomb, or if he was mass grave, there's this thing called looting. It's a lovely thing that happens a lot in archaeology. And I do realize that a lot of the time when people get thrown into mass graves, their valuables are stripped from them.
Yeah.
But there are always chances that something could have not been stripped from them. There are things such as other religions that are that use bones and various other means of human body parts to so that would be the only reason I would think that guards would have been stationed, was to prevent looting, which Wolf popped up and mentioned up here. He was just like, well, yeah, sometimes there's a bit of a what did he say,
there is a part
and stealing the body.
My only counter to that would be, there's a part in the Gospel of John where it says everybody was entering Jerusalem awaiting the risen Christ. And so if you're the Roman Empire and you have a mass crowd of people like at the Travis Scott concert and they're filling the city, you don't have guards to put on a tomb of a lunatic you just killed, because you need to protect the city. So if Christ filled the city with people waiting for him to rise and come back and proclaim he's God, he rose from the dead, I don't think the Roman Empire had troops to put on a random tomb. I just think that's unlikely.
I mean, I agree, it is unlikely, but then again, if this guy was so well known, then wouldn't it have been a bit of a notoriety type thing to own a piece of Jesus? So I mean,
it's also weird that
how many monks and how many Catholic priests have like little, what are they called, relics, where there's this is the toenail of John the Baptist. Like,
well, like grave robbery was.
It did scare him, yeah.
Yeah, that
grave robbery was a crime, capital offense.
That doesn't stop people from doing it. People,
right. But what I'm saying is, if Jesus was buried in a tomb and the body went missing, there would have been an investigation into Jesus' family, his disciples. There would have been an investigation into that, but there wasn't.
But he was crucified between two criminals because he was the third. Why are you putting guards outside a criminal? Why do you care? I think people will place so much value on Jesus in the 21st century. I don't buy that he had this value in the first century. I don't think the Roman Empire cared.
That's the reason why I think
buried in the mass grave.
See, Hyper just made the point that I was trying to make earlier. Is like there was no real value for it.
However, this goes back to the anti-prophetic thing.
Yeah, occasionally somebody's got to watch.
When Paul talks about a resurrection, he heavily emphasizes a spiritual resurrection. An empty tomb is not necessary for what they believed at the time. He could be resurrected and walk amongst people, and his body could still be buried in the mass grave. That didn't matter. Well, later they were like, no, he rose in the flesh. Well, then we have to come up with stories to make it seem like he was. So
the other problem is in resurrection theory. I don't know if you've studied Catholic resurrection theory. When you rise from the dead, you're not supposed to have body malfunction. So it's actually a contradiction for resurrection theory for Christ to have holes in his hand. You're supposed to rise with a perfect body. It's restored. It's ready for heaven. So the fact that his body's not restored is very troubling, because when Christ raises you back on Judgment Day, you're not supposed to have your leg missing still. You're not supposed to have your missing kidneys. You're supposed to body restored. Perfect.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That's gotta suck. Well, and then all the things when he rises, he still has the crown of thorns and he's still like trickling blood and half that shit. So I have issues with that's not.
It's weird in John, because again, that's the only account where I think it was James who asked him to prove that he's resurrected by touching the holes in his hands. But Jesus also like either teleports or walks through the wall.
Yep.
So like he's both a spiritual and a fleshly being at the same time.
The Gospels are contradicting. You're right. One of them thinks there's a spiritual resurrection, and one is talking on a physical one. You know.
Magic.
Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah, it's like a combination of the two in John's gospel. It's weird.
That's what Islam claims, right? They claim they thought they killed Jesus, but they didn't, right? Like they killed the body or something, and the spirit left Jesus or something.
Well, no, it's they think that kind of like in the second treaty of the Great Seth, Jesus switched his bodies with Simon Peter, who helped him carry the cross in Matthew. So they think that he switched bodies with somebody. Some other Muslims will say that Jesus created another person that just looks like him but wasn't really there.
People didn't recognize him in the Gospels, right? When he rose, everyone was like, they didn't recognize his face. Now, this is like Brad Pitt walking down Hollywood, most famous guy they're claiming in the first century, and people are looking at Brad Pitt and going, I don't think this is Brad Pitt. You know, that's something
that Paul addresses too, about the new body coming from the old body. Uses several different analogies. I can't remember the time. It's like you plant a seed and then there's a plant. So the body is the seed, and then the resurrected form is the plant. So it is grown into its.
So he shouldn't have holes then if he's in a new body, technically.
Yeah,
too,
which
right?
that part is very weird.
Yeah.
Which again was probably there to combat some sort of docetic Christology that was around at that community at the time. But it's hard to speculate as to why that's there. We just don't have a lot of
true. Yeah.
context. But it is very strange that it kind of combines the two ideologies of Jesus being raised in the flesh and the spirit at the same time. But anyway,
Wolf says, "Back to the garden."
back in the garden. You get back in that garden.
You get back in that garden.
Well, hey, the garden analogy. Oh, that's fascinating. Actually, God was in the garden. In the Old
wasn't he?
Testament.
He walked
He's
with
not.
Adam.
He's not outside the garden. He's actually in the garden. So you can judge
he and
him.
Adam went for walks, didn't he? Like they walked.
Yeah.
And walked. Yeah.
And the funny, because I read the book recently, the Old Testament. It's an Old Testament book that talks about the 5 different authors who wrote the Old Testament, and it claims the author P is the one that's responsible for the physical attributions of God in the Old Testament. Like when God wrestles with Jacob, when God has a physical body and vocal cords in the Garden of Eden, the scholars think that it's the same author that wrote the physical Bible verses where God is given physical attributions. Yeah. Well, there's other authors in the Old Testament that think God is just transcendent and isn't physical. That's why we get these. Sometimes God is jealous. Sometimes he's loving, because there's different authors who actually might worship different gods. El Elyon, Yahweh. They're putting these books together, and trying to claim they're all the same. They're trying to write polytheism out of the book, basically.
And just like when you read in the New Testament, like the Old Testament has different ideas about God, like book for book. So like Job has a different idea about the afterlife than Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes teaches a more annihilationist type of an afterlife, as Job has the idea that it's not really hell as the way we think of it today, but it's like a physical place where our soul will go after we die, whether we're good or not. So it's two very contradictory ideas, which is just reflected upon the author's belief at the time.
Yeah.
So going back to the debate, though, we had a moment where I believe it was in his opening statement where he talked about how any sort of polytheistic belief is actually of the same religion and is known worldwide. Do you remember that? Like he was saying, like,
Yeah.
because he said like not hedonism. He was like Hinduism. It's also polytheistic religion. It's the same as Greeks, same as the Romans. I know they copied each other a little bit. Same as Nordic mythology. Same as that. Like all the pantheons are the same. All ruled by El. All ruled. Yeah. So he was going on about that for a little bit, touched on it, and then he jumped into that technology bit. Which I'm really glad you didn't follow that particular line of thinking, because the amount of cultural misrepresentation that he was bringing up was astonishing. Very, very blatant.
Yeah, he was out there.
So just throwing out, that's one of the 5 things that he mentioned in his first in his opening statement. So I tried to keep track of them. I'll go back and do it again if I have to, but that was nuts.
Right. I think my first question in the cross-examination was, before the moderator cut me off, I said, what's your evidence for Lucifer being the god of Gnosticism? And because you said you had irrefutable proof, and he goes, I don't, I just think so, or something. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But
he said
earlier he had said that Lucifer was was the main god of Gnosticism and was
and Hitler was a Gnostic.
And I was curious. I was genuinely,
I have proof, but then you ask this question, he's like, I just think so.
I was genuinely curious where he heard this. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
Like that could be possible. Hitler was into some out there shit. Like there could be some writings about him being associated.
I want to talk about. Can we talk about Hitler for a second? I just want to talk about Hitler for a second. Okay, this has nothing to do with his beliefs, and yet it is something that he believed and was very, very proud of. There was a writer that he was a huge fan of. He was like a giant fan fiction friend of this particular writer. And I heard this on a podcast, and I realized that this is just kind of common knowledge, but this is a writer that talked about being a cowboy in the West, like in America. And Hitler believed that this writer wrote strategic battle plans that were better than most learned people. Now, to be discreet, I have to hold on. I got to look up this guy's name. It's so.
Yeah, I'm curious now. What?
Oh my God! This is. I know you got me on a tangent.
It sounds like Trump.
It's fucking amazing, though.
I can't resist saying that.
Yeah, it's the first time. I'd like to hear this. First time I'm hearing it. So I'm
so
interested.
this. Oh God, I have to find this stupid thing.
I know that
it's on a podcast called Behind the Bastards. So I have to find the Behind the Bastards episode.
I'm not familiar. I know that Hitler's chief propagandist was a Christian, and he used a lot of the Christian text to justify. That was literally his title, was chief propagandist. That was his title. I forget his
That's
name.
awesome.
Hitler said, "You tell a lie big enough, you say it loud enough, and people will believe
Yeah.
it." Right. So
Yeah.
I feel like
and Mein
that
Kampf.
sounds like the Bible. Claim that you made the universe and say it enough, and people will believe that you made the universe.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, they absolutely weaponized propaganda, especially Christian propaganda.
What is the author's name? I need to find the author's name. But this author was he wrote a bunch of he was basically like the Harry Potter writer. Like he was J.K. Rowling for Germany back then, and it was like this youth fiction thing. And like the author was a massive liar. He was he said that he had been in the U.S. and that he had helped multiple multiple Native American tribes win battles and had learned the way of the white man and like all this shit.
Sounds like Joseph Smith.
It sounds like it,
Yeah.
right? It really, really does. Why can't I find this stupid thing? I will find it. I will find this. And if I can't find it now, I will send it to both of you later. But this is it's on Behind the Bastards, the podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts, by the way. Let me use my phone.
But yeah, he was like Hitler was a Gnostic, and I was like knowing all of the bizarre out there shit that Hitler had dabbled in over the years, like that could be possible. Maybe he did consider himself a Gnostic at one point, or at least research it. Like
Carl May.
That does sound familiar.
Thank you, Morgan. Carl May.
Of course, Morgan knows. God damn it.
I'm like, I know who this is, but this guy would walk around in Germany. Like, of course, he lived at the time of Hitler's like youth. So when Hitler was like a teenager, he'd like walk around quoting Carl May constantly. Like he was a super fan.
Yeah.
Carl May would wear a gun holster shot that had like multiple bullet like shell whatever the fuck you call them. They're like the like belts and everything. But he would wear 6 guns on him at all times.
6.
Not 2, not 4, 6.
6.
6 guns all the time.
Just for what? Intimidation?
I don't know. But this
you never know when shit's gonna pop off, man. You gotta be prepared.
Carl May, just fucking read it. It's amazing. But Hitler supplied every single one of his generals and his master like fighters, whatever the fuck you call military shit. Because I don't know this, but he supplied them all with a full a full booklet of Carl May battle strategies that they used when between him and like the Apaches and
there's like propaganda tactics.
Oh my god, it was, and he believed that like you may read Tao and you may read The Art of War and everything, but he's like he'll stay with Carl May because he's a real Nazi.
Yeah, even like the Art of War is like had like legit battle strategies in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would favor a
of course,
movie star.
He favored a fiction story.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like a super fan of this.
Yeah, that tracks. Tracks.
Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, it's.
I'm gonna look into that. I appreciate you.
Oh my god,
Carl May. Yeah, I wrote that down.
You're gonna have a laugh. So Carl with a K, Carl May. He is this German cowboy fantasy writer. His story is background.
Oh man.
Pat says, I guess anyone can pick up and start calling themselves Gnostic, regardless of if they know anything about Gnosticism or history. I don't know enough about Gnosticism to say that. So, can we talk about the background of Gnosticism in general?
Yeah, like what about it?
Start at the beginning.
So Gnosticism evolved out of sort of Valentinian.
Original Gnosticism can actually go back further than even Christianity. It goes back into more philosophy, but we can start with the Christian Gnostics, which started as a heretical Christian movement.
Okay.
There were over 50 different Gnostic groups. There was Canaanite Gnostics, Sethian Gnostics, they had a high relation to like the Apocalypse of Adam, which I made a TikTok on. That's all about Sethian Gnosticism. So there were many different groups. There were Gnostics who believed Christ was a false Messiah and a deceiver. There was Gnostics that believed, Christ was a messenger. There were Gnostics who believed Christ was Lucifer, right? So yeah, Valentinus, he was one of them who the rumors were he almost actually became the Pope of the Catholic Church, which if that would have happened, we would now have Gnosticism in today's world, and Christianity would not exist if he would have became Pope. The whole religion would have changed if he would have been Pope.
Yeah,
but it basically means gnosis, which means knowledge, which people who, instead of pursuing faith like Christianity, you pursue knowledge, spiritual knowledge.
Spiritual knowledge. Okay, so what's the difference between a religious knowledge and a spiritual knowledge?
So a religious knowledge and a spiritual knowledge.
So Gnostics believe that
I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about this. I'm just trying to learn. Sorry.
It's knowledge in general. So you're studying knowledge about life, existence, right? Like rationalism can be seen as non-empirical knowledge because you don't have to experiment on deductive logic to know it's true. So you could look at spiritual knowledge in a way as being a form of you can know things mentally through the mind, and you don't have to have physical proof of them. So the Gnostics were believing in, basically they were knowledge seekers.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Gnostics believe that only certain individuals had a divine spark within them.
That's why he went into the Freemason shit.
There were different groups that thought that there were three different types of people. There were people who had this divine spark. There were people who had a lower divine spark, and then people who possibly had no divine spark in them. And this all goes back to the weird interpretations of the Garden of Eden.
And you can only figure out where you stood in that hierarchy by attaining as much knowledge as you possibly could.
Yeah.
The Christian Gnostics believe that Jesus came, representing the Christian God of the New Testament, to sort of guide people there. And the Gnostics, who believe themselves to have achieved or unlocked that divine spark or whatever, it's similar to Scientologists in that similar way. Only a few people have this innate ability to. Anyway, the ones who believe they achieved that ability, they were the ones that wrote shit down, and they wrote it down, and they had these Gnostic gospels. And they passed those Gnostic gospels. So they passed those down to other people to try and help them unlock that inner divine spark.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to use that now.
It was all about returning to the pleroma, the realm of light, right? Leaving.
Yeah.
They believed that they were trapped in bodies and they had a divine spark, and you need to get out of your body. And the only way you could do it is by understanding the codes of the secret knowledge written in the Gospels. And then your divine spark, when you die, could escape the cycle of reincarnation and go back to the realm of light.
Yeah. So think about
very interesting. I need to study up on this. This is fascinating.
It is pretty cool to study.
So think about Calvinists versus Protestants, right?
Right.
Calvinists believe salvation comes through works. Protestants believe salvation comes through grace. Gnostics had a third option: salvation comes through knowledge, even though they're older than the aforementioned two. So there's three different ways. So Christians will debate the two different ways. Is it salvation by grace or works? And they'll fight the Catholics and Protestants and Lutherans, and they go back and forth. The Gnostics believed it was by knowledge.
Because knowledge leads to an enlightened person who knows how to be morally good. You know how to do good works. So knowledge really cures everything. If you have knowledge, you're going to be a good person. You don't need faith. You don't need, in the end, you don't have to believe.
Don't entirely agree with that.
That's cool.
I agree. Knowledge does help in many ways of being a better person, but I also think it can create absolute monsters.
Oh, it can. As you move up the ladder of knowledge, you have intelligent evil people and intelligent good people. So I agree there.
Masterminds, evil
scientists.
I would definitely agree, but the only way for you to actually become morally good. I don't think
knowledge is going to make people nice. That doesn't work.
But for example, you have to understand that we're not weeds, and the only way to understand that we're not weeds is through knowledge, right?
And it all circles back here.
It all circles back.
No, and I am not.
Knowledge would include moral knowledge, and I think that would be the difference.
Yeah.
I
It's like
agree.
if people, you
I
can
like
gain
the
all kinds of
idea of
knowledge in the world,
worldly
but if you don't
knowledge.
also gain moral knowledge, well, then you'll fall in. You'll go the wrong
So the
direction.
Gnostics taught ignorance. They taught lack of knowledge, ignorance. So evil and ignorance were kind of the same thing. Evil people are ignorant that everybody should be nice. We're a collective. To hurt you is to hurt myself. When you become enlightened or pursue knowledge, now you're good. So knowledge and good were kind of related. And it was kind of like Friedrich Nietzsche, who wrote his book on go beyond morality, go beyond good and evil, and enter the realm of reason and logic. The Gnostics felt the same way. It was all about knowledge to go beyond faith and ignorance.
Who was that again? Sorry, I want to write it down.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said Beecha, and I was like, who the hell is Beecha? I was like, I think this
Frederick beat you at what?
It's hard to speak. I spoke
Yeah.
yesterday for like 6 hours. I went live for 2 hours after the debate, so it's hard to talk right now.
No, I get it. It's fine. So I was just like, who the fuck is this Beecha guy?
Right.
I was like, Nietzsche. Yeah, I know who Nietzsche is. No, but yeah, I agree that there is some balance between knowledge. Like you can gain all the knowledge in the world and be the most selfish person in the world and like be hateful. But there has to be a balance in what you learn through worldly values and through morals. You may not agree with them, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't respect them. Why, Correa? Why? Frederick Beeche, the named captain will debate under now. Sorry.
So going back to the original Gnostics, there's a I'm rusty on the history, but there was a former like Roman soldier who like became a Christian Gnostic, and then he started a monastery that was supposed to be self-sufficient, and then more people were attracted to it, and it grew, and then he went to build other ones, and then it got the attention of like Athanasius, I think, or Athanasius, and that's sort of where and the heresy hunters like got there and like destroyed the place, and that's
we have another
where
super chat.
No, holy shit, $33.
I mean,
what's the 33 for?
I don't know what 33 is for.
I noticed you, but
Mason, you are part of the Elon Musk hyperlink.
That must be it.
Oh. What's a senpai?
Like master or
okay.
like that or something.
I don't. I just. Yeah.
But anyway, where the the Gnostic texts were discovered in Egypt in 1977. That was like a few miles outside of that that monastery, and it was buried underground in a clay jar, and they were like really well preserved. So suddenly, like the Catholic Church made this very real effort to stamp out all of the Gnostic groups and the early Christian groups and their holy text, and they were very successful at it until about the mid 70s when we discovered them all in Egypt. So yeah, it's really interesting that now we have like this whole like chunk of history that has been missing for the past 1,500 years has just been discovered from the hands of the Catholics.
And they barely scratched the surface. I mean, there's a lot of scholars who've read the books, and there are modern day scholars now who are reinterpreting the Gospel of Judas that that was so featured and famous. Now they're actually saying it means something different. So it's interesting because when they first had the books, the guy tried to sell them for $3 million, and they sat in a deposit box in New York, and actually a lot of the pages deteriorated. And we only have it's just fascinating for me that there are all these books that were written that are now lost, and all these pages that are, because of the Christian religion, the history is lost forever. Never going to get it back. It's gone.
And the only reason we know about these texts is because they were written about by the heresy hunters.
Yeah.
Like Irenaeus and Athanasius, they would be like, there's this group called the Ebionites, and they believe this, and this. And of course they were speaking like slanderously, so like you only take it for what it's worth. And they were very heavily targeted. The Marcionites, especially. The Ebionites were not as successful as the Marcionites because the Ebionites, they held to Jewish law and they were vegetarian. So like, hey, here's this religion. You can't eat meat, and you have to have your wiener snipped when you're born. But the Marcionites were like, yeah, you don't have to do any of that. It's all love and
Yep.
flowers over here, bro. We love Paul. It's all good. So that sect of Christianity was much more popular than the Ebionites. So you see the early church fathers and the early heresy hunters attacking them much more than you do the Ebionites. Not really sure where I was going with that. I'm kind of going off for a rant.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear. There's a lot. I've read a lot about the heresiology, but I mean, there's so much to read. Irenaeus is a book like this big. I mean, it's bigger than a dictionary. You can't get through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, there was this very real effort by the early church to stamp out these other groups that were different from them, and those texts were almost lost to us. Even Constantine ordered the writings of the Iranians to be destroyed. Anyone who was an Iranian to be exiled or executed. Even he had some of them executed. In the Council of Nicaea, he wanted when they voted on the Nicene Creed, it was like 90 something, 98 something voted for the Nicene Creed. Like 3 voted against it. And Constantine was there at that meeting. He was at the Council of Nicaea. He didn't say much, but he was there, and that was enough. And only 3 people voted against it. Those 3 people were then exiled. Wow. And their holy texts were destroyed.
That's crazy, because before Christianity, they had Pax Romana in the Roman Empire, which is they had the state religion. And if you were a Roman citizen, and you were in the state religion, you got the full membership package of the Roman Empire. But there was religious freedom where all of the religions were recognized. You just weren't the state religion, and you could practice. Once Christianity started setting in, all of a sudden these pagan religions and stuff are starting to be persecuted and stamped out. Like temples are being knocked down, books are being burned, and then the Roman Empire breaks down and falls not too long after.
Can we all take like a 2-second just sadness for like the burning of the Library of Alexandria, because I'm just sad now. I'm just having a moment. Like
Hypatia's death too was, I think, one of the most tragic deaths in human history. She was a Greek mathematician, a philosopher. Socrates wrote she surpassed all the philosophers.
Yeah, what they did to her was
she was a politician. She stood for, again, mathematics and philosophy. The whole world should dedicate ourselves to her and not Christ, a guy who talked about mythology. We should all be studying math and philosophy instead of an ancient book from the 1st century. I mean, but like, she was representation of the divine feminine, of the power of woman, and then a misogynistic group of Christian angry men stripped her out in the street and killed her, and that ended the classical antiquity era.
Which is bullshit. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Yep. A little bit grumpy about that
particular. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's God. That was
yeah. Constantine incentivized converting to Christianity. Like, you got a tax break if you did it. His son condemned pagan temples and had them destroyed. So Christianity that we have today is the result of heresy hunters, slander, destroying texts of other beliefs, the emperor having a presence in the voting process of core doctrine. Like, it's the early years of Christianity, especially in the 3rd century is pretty fucking, like, it's nuts. Christianity could have gone a very different way, but history is determined by the victors, and the proto-Orthodox Christians are the ones that took a very offensive stance against the other Christian groups who were very just kept to themselves. They didn't care. But they were like, no, everybody's going to believe what we're going to believe, and we're going to force them to if necessary, and that's what they did.
And at the height of their influence, Inquisitions, Crusades, witch burnings, the Catholic Church, like, if one of my arguments is, when Christianity was at the height of the influence on earth, that was when they were doing the most damage of the Dark Ages, and they were killing people. A lot of philosophers wrote about how, the reason why it's not happening today is Christianity has no more political power. and influence in the world today. When they were at their highest, bad things were happening.
No, Constantine one was not an. He was baptized by an Arian, which may have converted him to Arian at his death, but for his life, I don't think he was Arian.
I mean, I'm going to stay out of this. I don't know a whole lot about Constantine, but Pat is Pat's Pat. So have fun with that argument.
Pat's probably right. I might be wrong, but I know he was baptized by his Arian cousin. But he heavily condemned.
Have you ever met Pat, or have you ever talked to Pat before?
I don't know.
Pat is a absolutely brilliant archaeologist. He is very, very intelligent. Works a lot with historic religions specifically, and I mean he's way outranks me in the archaeological field. I think the only thing I can school him on is rocks. So, so when he says something, I just take it as law, and I will read it, and then I will discuss it with him later. So, if he's saying that Constantine was Arian, and as were 2 of the 3 sons, I believe him. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I will believe him until otherwise proven guilty.
Constantine's successor, his son, was absolutely Arian. Yeah. Constantine himself. I'd have a hard time being convinced of that. But his son absolutely was, yeah. And Constantine himself was baptized by his Arian brother or something at his death, or cousin, but that was sort of out of necessity. He didn't have anybody else to baptize him, so he went with what he had because they believed that if you were baptized and you sinned after you were baptized, you could still go to hell. So that's why they baptized people at their death. So at the time he was dying, he didn't have anybody else to do it, so he was like,
I feel like that makes more sense. Like just throwing it out there. Every religion should do this. It's like, yes, you're gonna die. Sprinkle some water on you. Okay, you're dead. Now you can feel good about, like, your relatives are like, yes, they're in a happier place now. Great, wonderful. You don't have to practice religion. You just deal with it at your death.
There are priests who go through hospitals baptizing people, waiting for the guy who survives the cancer and lives, and they do this to thousands of people, and when the one guy somehow beats the miracle, they claim God did it. And they do this through the numbers game. They walk through door by door and they say, this guy converted, this guy, this guy lived, God did it. But they don't tell you is there's 1,000 people who don't. They try to point to the 0.01 that do.
You were not supposed to post that, Dadpool.
Was it not?
I don't know if you were, but I mean, you're not wrong. Pat and I have talked about that before.
Yeah, we talked about sex on dig sites among college interns and whatnot.
It is ridiculous. Okay, it is ridiculous.
Makes me feel like I was born in the wrong life.
Well, okay, let me just give you a picture. Okay, you're putting a bunch of people with high pheromones, high hormones, out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Listen,
for at least a few weeks.
I went to Macedonia, and we went to a castle. I can't remember the name of the castle. It's like a 1,500-year-old castle, and there was a condom in one of the like areas of the castle. And I was like, someone got laid in a castle. That's fucking awesome. Like,
that is pretty cool.
Like, I will not. What? I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna get laid in a castle. Are you serious right now? Yeah, sign me the fuck up.
Wolf just said the truth of field work. So the thing is, I agree with all of this, and I have seen it happen. I have not myself participated, and for some reason, I feel like I'm missing out, but it really doesn't bother me.
Yeah, you're probably not missing out.
I'm probably not. I can tell you, oh my God, I can tell you how fucked up it has caused, like how the problems that it has caused, like the amount of drama that this type of mentality happens in those types of fields. But that is not our topic tonight, and we don't need to talk about it, so we can move along. Anyway, Hyper just got real blurry real fast.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. That was weird. Let me turn it back on. Let me try.
Just keep flashing it like a bunch, and maybe it'll just
put your hand up to the camera, and then like Bring it back.
Oh, yeah, no.
No.
No,
I feel like I'm watching you without my glasses right now, though. Like, this is about how I see.
Should I pop out and pop back in?
Do it. No, I don't know. No, don't do that.
here, I'll kick you out. Hang on.
Give him a second to play with it. I don't think it's going to change his video at all.
Yeah, probably not.
Scoot your chair back and scoot it back. I don't know. Just start playing around. Oh, there you go. Hey!
There we go.
Yay.
Boom, you did it. Nice.
Yay. Look at us. Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Right.
No, so we're not really approaching the end yet, but I do want to make a mention really quick because I want to keep talking and I'd like to keep this chat up. But if you'd like, after this, we tend to do what we call like the after show chat. You know, I know Tang does this, but we actually do it as well. We just kind of hang out at in Dadpool's Discord. So if anybody wants to pop over there, Correa, you can throw the link up whenever. We can have a discussion and just continue talking because I'm sure there's some people that have some questions on here. And if Pat will jump in, then we can definitely get you two to meet because I think he's going to be having a show on soon.
I could use some help knowing how to debunk the giants that the Christians are always saying are real. I would love some information on that. So
Why did you not bring this up earlier?
They're elephants.
I would love to because I don't have expertise in that. I'd love from some sources. I'd even do a TikTok on it.
So
if you would
Morgan,
give me some
Pat,
information.
you like the three of us have to have a chat with Hyper when he gets into Discord tonight. This is going to be interesting. So all of us have a little bit of understanding when it comes to understanding the giants.
Okay, perfect.
You are speaking our language now, sir.
Yeah, awesome. I like it.
Even if giants are real, that is not proof of the existence of God. That is proof of the existence of giants.
Do you follow the guy on TikTok,
All it
Minuteman?
is it's what?
The guy on TikTok, Minuteman. He stitches. Yeah, he shuts all those guys down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I've heard of him. I'm not familiar. I don't know if I follow him.
Oh, he's an interesting character. You should look at it. I'll shoot him. I'll shoot you one of his videos.
I'm sure I've seen him.
Mhm.
Like it definitely sounds familiar.
No, but he so there's giants and then there's the idea of cyclops, and these are all things that have to do with giant skulls. But the big thing is like if they existed, all that does is prove that giant fauna was a thing. Megafauna was a thing. But
that's not proof of the Nephilim and the angels that mixed with the humans that were like 20 feet tall and roamed the earth.
That's where the myth probably came from.
Page of paper. Okay, hold on. I am now a caveman.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab a drink.
This person, hold on. This person is at this distance from me. They look small.
Yeah.
This person is closer. They look big.
Yep.
Farther away.
Yep.
Closer up.
Oh, and add a person with bad eyesight into this too.
Right?
Yeah.
This is how people would draw things. Why does that make it so difficult to understand? It's not that the people were bigger. It's a perspective thing. They were. So
I've actually studied a little bit. You might acknowledge this. I've studied Egyptian art a little bit. Have you? In religion and how they like to depict humans with animal qualities because it was an artistic expression. So people see, oh my gosh, a person with a falcon head alien, right? No.
It's art. Good eyesight, and we're
it's art. It's art. And then like you said, humans were bigger because powerful people were drawn bigger in paintings.
Yeah.
Back then.
I mean, okay, so Pharaoh's always huge in all of the Egyptian paintings. It's not because he was physically huge. It's because he, like, you can see.
It's a perspective. It's art. They're speaking the language of art.
Style of expressing culture.
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
How the culture views it. And that has nothing to, it's
kind of like how the fundamentalists do the literal interpretation of the Bible. These guys are literally interpreting art the wrong way.
No, that's absolutely true. And like, okay, so if we were like thousands and thousands of years from now and somebody sees the Mona Lisa and they see her just kind of standing there, because I think there's a house behind the Mona Lisa, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't remember. But if they see like a modern depiction of like a Renaissance painting and there's a very large woman and then there's a house that's about this big in her background. Oh, wow, there were giants. Nope, perspective. Just
or like Mount Rushmore, right? Like,
right.
Those guys must have been giants. I mean,
They must
who's
have
going to
been
paint a
huge.
fake mountain like that? And who could do that? We can't do that. Aliens must have done that. Like
Oh my
humans
God.
aren't capable of doing that.
Hyper, you're speaking my language right now, bro.
I like it.
This is the type of shit. So I love doing myth. I love myth busting. I like pseudo busting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow Archeo on TikTok, but you need to because this is what he does.
What's his handle?
Archeo Wolf. We'll talk to him in a bit. He's on here. He's also known as Whiskey with a Wolf on the YouTube thing.
Okay.
But
No, we can bring him in here for the last
Actually,
20 minutes.
Morgan, do you want to pop in? Shoot him the link on Discord really quick. I don't know if he
Yeah,
wants to.
bring-
If he wants to, he is welcome. I would love to introduce him. He
Or we
says,
could bring
"Yep, that's
Pat."
me."
Or we could bring Pat.
We could bring both. Let's do
Good.
it. Pat, do you want to get online?
Hmm.
I need a yes or no from you. Morgan, same to you.
I just logged on my TikTok. I got like 4 messages from
Morgan's a
Bushman
yes.
wanting to debate.
Oh no, that's funny. Morgan says yes.
I will send you the link
Let's do it.
and Discord.
Yep.
Are you guys you live in Discord right now?
No. We
No.
just message each other via Discord because we all have it. And we all play D&D together too.
Nice.
So,
Oh,
'cause we're
I
all
don't know
nerds.
what the fuck that was.
Pat went to grade papers. Damn it. Okay, well, we'll grab Pat later. I'm sure he'll pop into Discord later, but if not, that's okay. I'm pretty sure you have Pat on your Discord as well because we've had him on here before. But yeah, let's bring Archie in because Hyper should probably meet him.
All right, he should be incoming.
Incoming. Yay. So background is Archeo Wolf is an archaeologist out of Montana. He is really good with historics. The way I'm good with rocks, he is good with people. So hi.
Hey.
Here he is.
What's
So
going on?
Morgan, Hyper Morgan.
Well, people's things, not people. People's things.
Not people. Yeah, specifically people's things. But yes, so yeah. Do you want to talk about the Giants? You're smiling. I don't
How
know.
many TikToks about giants have you made this week?
How many this week? I don't know if he has.
I haven't made any. Actually, I haven't made anything referencing giants in a week. Come to think of it, I did one. I responded to one last week. No, I've been fielding questions about the Titanic because
that's right. Oh my God, yes.
because that was I was obsessed with that when I was a child. So
I do like that though.
So I've been addressing that, but
That's
no, Night God on TikTok.
Oh, that guy's a mess.
Oh, I've torn his things down quite a bit, and I posted
Night
did you
God.
literally post a part 2
Hmm.
and pissed a bunch of his followers off.
How does that guy have so many followers, man? That guy's like, God. I mean, it's
Well,
insane.
you cause drama, you get drama.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
Follow it.
Yeah.
That's why Morgan has more followers than me. He likes to cause drama.
I'm starting to think Giants is bigger than Flat Earth these days with all the people who blow up on those videos.
No. I still get Atlantis.
Where do you think the
Atlantis
Giants
is a
live?
big one.
Yeah, where do you think the
The
Giants?
Giants live on the
Bottom of the
flat
sea.
Earth
I've seen
that's on
Nightguard
top
video.
of the giant stone trees that grow out of Atlantis.
Okay. And where's that? Yeah.
Oh, that's underneath Antarctica where the reptilian ant people live.
Of course.
See, my whole point is if the aliens are so smart and so strong, why don't they just come up to Earth and put humans on them? Why are they hiding in the center of the Earth? If they're so
But they're
powerful, why don't they
here,
come
don't
up
you
and
know?
rule?
That's the lizard folk.
The
They're
lizard
among
people that
us.
run the
Yeah,
government.
but lizard folks don't hide. They run the world. They should be showing themselves and dominating. Why are they hiding? Are they scared? Like, what's up?
Yeah, this is the type of shit that Morgan and I talk about all the time. So this
It's
is
what we deal with.
you have officially bumped into our side of TikTok.
Nice. I like this side.
religious side. You
Yeah.
like this side?
I do. It's a lot better. It's good to get out of the side I'm in, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
I have been getting a lot of Christian TikTok recently, and I'm not
Me
entirely sure
too.
why. I think it's
The
because
lives. I've been getting a
Yeah.
lot of lives. You
Really?
know, I wake up and I wake up stupidly early out of habit.
right.
So, I'm making coffee, I'm flipping through TikTok. And for some reason, every single live, I get Lost World Museum because I respond to stuff he does. And the algorithm does that thing it does. But lots of the uber Christian, repent, things are burning if you don't kind of ridiculousness. And I'm like, I don't follow you guys. How is this a thing? But it is. So
We do a lot of debunking. I do a lot of rock identification simply because I don't have the energy to debunk. But this
fossil
one
turtles.
here- but I was but this one over down here, he's got all sorts of spite.
Nice.
I am angry, and I think I was on a podcast called A Life in Ruins, and
I tried to talk to him the other. Oh, anyway, we'll talk about that.
one of the hosts I actually found on TikTok, and I followed him, and we were talking about it. And when they sent me the questions, they're like, "So you're the CEO of Archaeology TikTok?" And I'm like, "No, who said that?" But I was thinking about it after I did the podcast and everything. I was like, there are so many archaeologists who are actually better at educating people than I am. I am just the equivalent of a street preacher. I'm loud and I'm I have this presence and people pay attention.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah.
Slightly because if they meet you in person, you are scary.
Anger kind of works on TikTok. I'd be surprised. It
Not
works.
to me. You're not scary to me.
Condescending and intimidating.
Condescending and
Oh,
intimidating. My
the
bad.
algorithm
Oh,
rewards
I'm so sorry.
controversy. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
I
I've
mean,
been watching.
that was my biggest video. 1.6 million views. And what did I do? I duetted the kid who found a unicorn skull in his
Oh my
yard.
god!
And
that
I
was
broke
the
it
day
down.
before we had talked about
Literally, like the dirt isn't
Soft.
packed.
it was soft, and
It was
like
a
they put it
sloppy
down and put
fake.
dirt on top of it.
It doesn't work. That you might believe this if you didn't understand how dirt works. And I got 1.6 million views on it. All right, cool. And then there were 3,900 comments. And
Nice.
I kid you not, 2/3 of that 3,900 comments are flat earthy. Bibles are on Bibles. Unicorns are in the Bible and on the ark, and dragons are real. And the teenagers who live in their mother's basements tearing those conspiracy theory people apart. And I just sat there for a week and watched the First World War unfold.
That's a lot of
comments.
comments. 40,000 comments. That's a lot of comments.
That was like last year this time.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. It was January.
It was like a year ago.
It was
Oh,
January. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So you and I remember having a lot of conversations regarding this. Just like, have you read the recent chunk of this?
Mhm.
And it's like, this is interesting. This is a reality show now.
But there was a little bit of conflict, and holy shit.
Yeah, that was
I got my first ban because of a little bit of conflict
Well,
with
that's
another pseudoscience pusher, and I was like, all your theories are essentially white supremacy. Not saying you're a white supremacist, but you're pushing the ideas.
awful. close.
I got banned for 3 days.
Aw.
He didn't.
Of course not, because that's not how that works.
Yeah. So
Anyway, so back to the giants thing, because that's what you want to be able to rebuttal the whole concept of giants.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, what proof do they supply to you when they say that there were giants?
They usually reference a couple. I don't have them on me, but they reference 2 articles where giants were found.
Which article? Oh, you don't
Yeah.
have them, right?
Yeah.
But like, are you talking about like the bones?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, you'll have to find those articles and send
I
them
will.
to us because
Yeah.
I guarantee you those are one of those.
You've probably seen them before, you know.
Oh yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
have.
One of the things about the giants thing is that people have confused megafaunal bones,
With humans.
it to be human or humanoid. The elephant skulls in Crete.
Okay.
So there was a species of elephant or mastodon small that suffered from island dwarfism before they went extinct on the island of Crete. And ancient peoples, the Greeks, found these skulls which have one giant hole in the middle of the head. Well,
Yeah.
obviously that's an eye socket. No, it's for the elephant's trunk.
Mine is smaller.
There's a smaller.
So it was
Mine is huge.
that's it. That's your interpretation of where giants come from. It's kind of the same way that ancient peoples find dinosaur fossils.
Yeah.
What is that? What does that influence an idea of?
What about the
Dragon!
elongated skulls of they claim they're aliens? You know those ones?
So that was
I
the
do.
ancient like
Head
Inuit
wrapping.
practice of
Head
like
wrapping
malforming
carving.
the skulls of infants, right?
So there's a tribe in South America that literally does what's called head tapping or head wrapping.
Yeah.
And they start when you're a child. So as a baby, your head gets wrapped to elongate that skull as much as possible. And as you grow, the wrappings get tighter. Have you ever heard of
You have those 4 striations in your skull, and it's soft when you're a baby. So
it's like foot binding.
Yeah, exactly. Foot binding. Yes,
And it's not a practice that is specific to South America.
No, it's in multiple locations.
In fact, one of the bigger populations and more well-known populations that do this are the Flathead Indians in, Montana, and Canada, where they would put a board. There would be a board pressed there, and you would have a flat head. And then there's another group that, very well known in history because they were part of the Tartars on the Eurasian steppe, where you have these people who have these purposely done body modifications, and for whatever cultural reason, it created, this bit of, it wasn't normal for society. So when you have a sedentary people and you run into these horse peoples who can do warfare so much better than you, and their heads aren't even shaped right, what does that tell you? What kind of story are you going to create?
Obviously,
they're the Anunnaki aliens that came to Earth.
Yeah,
I actually had these friends in college, and they had a baby, and they left the baby in like the car seat like all the time, like because they liked being in the car seat, and they would cry and scream when they weren't in the car seat. So they weren't like being abusive or neglective. They just left the car seat because it liked being in the car seat all the time. What happened is like the back of their head ended up being like flat and like almost like triangular, like a fucking alien. Like it developed like that naturally, and they had to go to the doctor, and they ended up putting like this helmet thing on it to like try to bring it back into shape. But like it was really fucking like the kid was like a year old, and their head was shaped really strange. It was straight flat and like straight back. Like a xenomorph almost.
I think part of the reason when you see infants who do wear helmets is because they weren't cesarean section, they were natural birth, and as they go through the birth canal, because they were, I don't know if it was premature or just a little bit premature, but going through the birth canal actually deformed the skull. But because
their heads are fucked up when they come out of there.
Because babies are born made out of rubber, you can just kind of put a helmet back on and it sets everything back into place.
All that to say, a baby's head is very malleable when they are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, there's a reason why they're like, warning, there's a soft spot. You have to make sure about that.
So
why? No, sorry.
But yeah, no, the giants thing.
What happened?
Oh, don't look at the comments. That's all.
Look at the comments.
Oh yeah, the giants thing. Did
I
I piss somebody off?
I
pissed somebody off, I'm sure.
No, it's me. I didn't know what a term meant, and now the comments are very specific about what it meant. I regret asking.
Oh, fun.
Anyway.
One of the things that I've asked that I've pointed out about giants not being a thing, other than the fact that everything posted doesn't have a source, doesn't have anything verifiable about it. When you say, hey, where did you find that? It's the government hid it. You know, the video,
there's that warehouse, you know, the one that they show in
at Area 51 where the Ark is.
The massive warehouse.
Oh, the CIA is hiding it. Yeah, that's right.
Obviously.
And Yucca Mountain is just a storage center.
I heard they're moving all that stuff to Mars to hide it there so they can get it off Earth so people can't.
Why are they wanting to hide that stuff?
Why? What is the point of hiding it?
Because they have all these laser technologies from the aliens, and they don't want the humans to know that they're in contact with the Galactical Federation.
There are some people that are just you're not going to be able to.
You've been talking to.
Enough.
I
talk to religious people. I'm the same thing as conspiracy theories. So I know. You know, it's the same thing.
I get it. I'm constantly debunking flat earthers. That's what I do.
I asked where the material culture was one day. You know, I mean, humans make material culture. Where's the giant stuff? Where I mean, our stuff survives. You would think something even bigger would survive, and yet we can't find a giant spoon or
to the bottom of the ocean, which we've not been to.
Except
convenient.
Except you know how much money petroleum companies have put into mapping the ocean floor with lasers?
So much.
All of it.
Much.
But according to Night God, there's footprints on the bottom of the ocean that are as big as like 25, could fit a size like 30.
Yes, I know exactly where those come from.
Yeah, go on.
I know exactly what those come from. Did you know during the Second World War, the Allies dropped to the tune of 40,000 depth charges?
Okay.
Trying to get German U-boats. And they don't explode on contact. They were timed. They were set for a pressure depth. So if you want to get somebody get a submarine that's playing dead on the bottom, you set a couple to go off within 20 meters of the ocean floor. And because they're shaped like a barrel and they're flat on the end, this is where the force goes. It goes out.
Okay.
So if you look at how that would appear, vaguely wide on the ends and narrow in the middle, suspiciously could look like a footprint if you are searching for a footprint.
No, there's
naturalistic explanation. Look at that.
I'd also like to point out, so those giant steps are like, and they'll be in a row too, because they'll drop them as they go in a straight line. Yeah. But then if they're like, but we've seen smaller ones, I dare you to watch a nurse shark feed and then see the leftover print of them. Mm-hmm. Because when they come up from the ground, suddenly they make a lovely swirl pattern that makes 3 little circles. It looks like someone's walking.
But if they're smaller prints, they're just human.
Right, they're just human.
We're not,
That's not giants, no. But they were on the ocean floor, so that's.
Do you guys debunk the flood too?
Oh
Fuck yeah!
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So much.
God sighted a single tree. By the way, last one I did.
God saved no trees.
There was a single tree, and God was like, "Fuck that tree." We get people arguing the flood myth all the time, but of course, Nat being the geologist is like, he can point out that there is no sediment layer or mud layer that would suggest a worldwide flood.
Why is there a difference between salt water and fresh water? Tell me this.
Because the salt water came from the waters above the firmament.
I'm sorry, the what?
The firmament. That's the part of the flat earthers
from Genesis 1-3.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's flat earthers. So flat earthers and floods. Okay. So
I thought salt water
weird stuff
from the rim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
like on a margarita.
That ice that gets trapped in icebergs and shit. Some of that's salty.
No.
I know. Crazy to think that,
it.
isn't it? So why do we have fresh water? If there was a worldwide flood, is he frozen?
Culligan man. He is frozen.
He's frozen.
He turned Asian. Some cultural appropriation up in this bitch.
man.
This is like that time that I was getting a disrespectful look from Morgan,
Inappropriate.
and he froze. He froze at the.
I'm gonna boot him and bring him back in.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow.
That's horrible. But yeah.
The flood myth.
Oh God, there's so much to it. Yeah.
You know, the flood.
So yeah, how would all the fish survive if it had been? Yeah. So like, even if there is fresh water.
Whoa, so
how would all
God,
the
are
fish
you
water
saying
fish
that God
survive?
went to kill everything except what was on the ark, yet he couldn't kill the fish?
Yeah.
Ooh. So what you're saying is there's evil fish.
Obviously.
Have you seen an alligator gar?
Have you seen the things that lurk in the dark? with the little light, just
I had to explain an alligator gar to one of the guys I worked with yesterday.
apparently they're
Other day.
delicious, and I would like to eat one someday.
Holy shit! It's 2 hours in. Wow.
Yeah.
People use indigenous people use the scales of alligator gar as points.
They're sharp. They're like flakes.
It's a fish. Why is it made of rock?
This is like the coelacanths that they
Dinosaur
just
fish.
recently. Well, it's like the coelacanths that they just recently rediscovered in Africa that have been fished for thousands of years, and
Oh,
we thought they
coelacanth?
were extinct. Yeah, coelacanth, not the coelacanth. Coelacanth. Yeah.
Coelacanth. Yeah.
Coelacanth.
I don't want to get bit by one of those either.
No,
Good
those are
face.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrifying.
I wonder
think-
if he lost his signal completely.
I don't know. I hope not.
No, he's got pretty healthy internet.
Normally he does.
But-
This is the first time I've ever seen Hyper have any internet issues, so this is kind of a
Yeah, he's
surprise.
He's not
'cause I'm
backstage.
here.
He hasn't DM'd me or anything.
He was also running his TikTok live at the same time. So let me see if he's on TikTok live. See if he's Kinda. see if that's popping up.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So down in the chat here, Adam. I can't bring up a chat, can I?
No, I got you.
Sturgeon in the river. Yeah, sturgeon get big, dude. There was so every single lake in the world has a monster, right? Flathead Lake in Montana has a monster.
He is trying to fix this currently.
And a sturgeon was
He lost his internet connection.
oh, nice. A sturgeon was caught,
There he is.
and it was like it was 17
There
to
we go.
21 feet long last night, if I recall correctly.
What was?
So a sturgeon
Oh yeah.
that was it wasn't caught, it was snagged because it was dead.
Okay, and the Loch Ness monster is definitely a whale penis. Let's move on from this.
Lake whale. It's a lake whale.
It's a lake whale penis.
Lake whale. Or a giant otter. Because can you imagine how adorable a 37-foot long otter would be?
So
So
adorable.
It
cute.
would be so cute.
It would
It
be
would
eating
devastate.
giant
It would
clams.
devastate Glasgow, but it would be adorable.
It would devastate Glasgow. Glasgow, the giant otter is coming. Run!
Be the cutest invasion ever.
It's
Sorry,
like,
Hyper. This has devolved into a sea monster.
I was only
now.
gone a couple minutes. Like, what happened?
we started talking about.
You can't leave
how-
us unsupervised.
We started
Exactly.
talking about how God couldn't have killed all the fish.
So there's evil
He
fish.
couldn't have. So
The
there's
globe-
evil
the
fish,
globe
and
flood.
there's
We were
lots
talking
of
about the
evil
flood.
fish.
Well, by the way, a quick fun fact: he also kills the serpent because in Genesis it said even the serpent died. So the devil, who's the serpent, died in the flood. So Christians shouldn't be claiming Satan's running around because he got killed in the flood.
Ooh,
And I've seen that
good
TV
one.
show. Lucifer is not dead. He owns a
So you're not supposed to
nightclub
think
on
about those
River
things.
Road.
Yeah, I heard about that. Apparently, he becomes God, and then chooses not to be. Oops! Spoiler alert.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Ruined it. I was totally going to watch all of that tonight.
I
Were
was
you?
totally never going
Were
to
you?
watch the show,
Yeah, I didn't
but
think so.
Yeah.
Just ruined it. No need to watch it now. Thanks.
No.
oh
Season
wow,
3 was good. Season 4, you lost me, and I was unfortunate.
happens.
No, yeah. So no,
So-
Hyper, just keep coming at us with questions. We
Yeah.
have debunked all of them before.
You debunked them all. Yeah, flat Earth is easy.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think about the guys? So yeah, so the guys who think there's well, that's probably outside your realm. Maybe the guys who think there's the firmament above in the sky, right? Who think there's the dome above Earth.
Ooh, I don't think I've actually messed with that.
I've not done any of those. No,
That's
no.
fascinating.
So there's a
firmament
guy.
is
There's a
supposed to
guy
be
on
what-
TikTok who got 2.8 million views. This was a while ago. Made a video on the dome, and he plays this video on YouTube where there's this rocket flying into the sky, and it like the rocket dies, but he freezes the video, and he's like, "What did that rocket just hit? It hit the dome."
The ozone layer. It hit the ozone
It
layer.
hit-
Yeah,
nothing.
but these guys think there's a dome in the sky.
Oh,
you
I
know.
have heard about this because
Yeah.
anytime that they see things that are supposed to be flying up and it eventually ends up going behind them, they think that they're just like flying around
Along
the
the
dome.
dome.
Yeah. Yeah. No bullshit.
I thought we proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the Earth is actually on the back of 3 elephants standing on the back of a turtle floating through space.
I thought the turtle was standing on the back of the elephants.
I have to disagree.
I thought
with
there
you
was
guys here.
3 turtles, 1 elephant.
Okay, hold on. We got to get our story
Whoa.
straight.
I'm pretty certain that the Earth is a pizza.
What are your
that is-
sources?
That is shaped
Yeah.
in a triangle.
I need to know you're drinking because in the next week I'll be allowed to drink again.
Mead,
Mead. Oh, good shit.
spice mead. It's the holidays.
Of course. I
So
do have a bottle waiting for me.
I didn't do the basic white girl thing and get a pumpkin spice latte. I didn't do it. So I've decided that I'm going to drink more spiced mead than I normally do.
That's fair.
Why not?
No problem.
Just solve the
It's the
issue with
holidays. And it's my birthday in 2 weeks, and I might as well get drunk enough to where I don't remember it.
Hey,
Or don't acknowledge it. Take your pick.
Oh yeah, everybody! It's Morgan's birthday.
No.
We're celebrating it, but deal with it.
Is it today?
No, not today.
Can I tell them what day it is? Can I?
Oh, it's already been on the news.
It has.
Yes.
How?
Yes, because apparently, well,
Is
they got
JFK
the-
coming back on your birthday?
Well, JFK decided to leave us on my birthday.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
No, every man in my family, my immediate family, my dad, my brother, and me have a cursed birthday. So
Wow, that's
November
kinda
22nd is mine. 20 years to the day JFK gets shot. That
Oh.
sucks. My brother's is September 11th, 1985.
cool. Ooh, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, I forgot about that.
And that was the day, coincidentally, that they discovered the Titanic. Funny story. My dad's birthday is April 14th. The sinking of the Titanic.
That's so
Oh, wow.
unfortunate.
That is weird.
So there's proof of God right there. But he has a sense of humor.
Yeah, there's
Or
proof
he's a
that the world
sadist.
works with a sense of humor. It's okay. Liam Neeson and I share a birthday. That's all I know.
Cool.
Anyway,
My wife is a witch. She was born on Halloween.
that is true. That
Ooh.
is true.
Yeah.
She's a spooky lady. Anyway, so I want to keep
I was born
talking-
when Chernobyl blew up. But anyway.
Oh, that's right. That explains why you're so short. Oh, anyway, so
I'm average. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh. Yeah, no, he's average. I'm the abnormal one here.
I was gonna say
Everyone's just bigger than me.
Hyper, how tall
Everyone
are
who
you?
ever comes on my show is
Hyper,
bigger
how
than
tall
me.
are
That's
you?
it. I'm not the weird one here. You're all the weird
6'3".
ones.
Hey!
Again,
I'm
I
not
rest my
alone.
case. The
Now-
jury
now
rests
Dad
its
pulls the free.
case.
I'm 6 foot, so poor Dadpool is stuck being short.
The wee mom.
That's surprising. He doesn't look short on TikTok. I'm
He
surprised to
I
hear
am
that.
69 inches.
It's the
ladies.
torch. It's the torch when it
It's the
fires up
torch and the camera angles.
the dragon's breath, man.
Okay,
There you
okay. We've
Yeah,
gotten way off topic. I want to
We
keep
have.
talking, but we're still on live. So if you guys want to join us for this talk, I'm going to jump into Discord. I think Archeo
Mhm.
Wolf is in. I don't know about Dadpool, how tired he is, but Hyper, you are more than welcome. Correa, throw that link up there if you can, and
Throw it up.
we should. Hyper, if you'd like, can you plug yourself one more time? Let us know where everybody can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on TikTok, HyperHumanity, Instagram, YouTube, HyperHumanity. Same name on all platforms.
Awesome.
You've got a book coming out, right?
Yeah, book come out sometime
Nice.
between January and March of next year called The Christian God is the Devil.
I feel like he's being a little too subtle, but I'm okay.
Um,
Oh, there's
Yeah.
pasta. The other way.
we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. In fact, I might argue that Dadpool and I might make that a book club book at some point.
Oh,
we
nice.
could do that.
So
Absolutely,
HyperHumanity.
dude. That's a great
Boom.
idea.
There it is.
Followed.
Followed.
Archeo just followed you on TikTok. We're good. I'm gonna jump in the Discord. Archeo, you want to plug yourself really quick?
Yeah, Archeo Wolf on TikTok, Whiskey with a Wolf on the YouTube, and Archeo Wolf on Instagram. I'm mostly active on TikTok though. So
This is true.
Yep. Cool. I'll add you
I'll,
back.
I'll jump in the ticket in the Discord here a little bit. I'm
Nice.
gonna
Go
Take
have
a
an
break.
after show. Thanks for joining, everybody. I realize that this has been a chaotic but very fun podcast.
It's been fun. We've had fun.
Yeah, this
this
was
is
great
good.
at the end. This was a good touch. I like how we ended.
No,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Glad
Yeah,
you enjoyed yourself.
thanks for bringing me in for the comic relief.
absolutely.
That's
If I
the
wasn't
purpose.
enough, it's fine.
All right.
Have a good
Well,
night,
good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Alrighty.
Appreciate y'all
All right, thanks,
appreciate
guys.
y'all for joining. Words.
Take care.
are hard. Good night.